This video is about breathing. We're going to tell you the absolute right way to breathe because
there's only one way.
There's only one way.
My way.
Yes. Mine.
No. You go deep.
No, the way I was doing. Because that starts to stimulate some of the mitochondria.
Oh, whatever.
Somebody asked a really good question about breathing. What's the right way to breathe? And, you know, a quick Google search.
Okay, there's yogic breathing with 3-part breath. There's, okay, Tumo, that's a really cool one. There's the Wim Hof breathing method. There's, if you're going to do free diving, that's a whole different, want to have longer breath holds, totally different way of breathing.
Some people feel we're breathing too heavily and getting too much oxygen all the time. Other people that say we should be breathing a lot less and get less. Pretty confusing.
It's always confusing when you try to research something.
You know, we did a video a long time ago on diet, right? The true primal diet.
Yeah.
Same thing. You go online and people will tell you that this food is going to kill you. Or this food, same food.
It's going to cure you.
Is going to, yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll hear really good, you'll see good research, you'll see good, all kinds of anecdotal stuff about, you know, how this diet just changed my life.
Yeah.
It's hard not to buy into that and believe it. I mean, this person will outline their whole journey in a blog, let's say.
Oh, yeah, there's some incredible journeys out there. And it's awesome that people are finding things that work for them. I think that is maybe what we're really talking about when we're talking about breathing or diet, exercise, health, anything, right? Just fill in the blank. We're really talking about finding what works for you. I'm not just talking about what works for you, but I'm talking about what works for you right now. Because we forget sometimes that we are ever-changing creatures and that what worked for us this morning might not work for us this afternoon.
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking about the state of knowledge. We live in this time now of vast knowledge at our fingertips. And I think historically, and very much so today, everywhere you look, there's going to be people that want to tell you what is the right thing. And they're invested in you believing that. And there's some different reasons for that. I mean...
Well, okay, obviously. Well, one of the first reasons I always try to come from a positive perspective is that a person honestly wants to help you. And like we were talking about, they've detailed their whole journey. Here's the food that's helped them. Here's the things that's helped them. They want you to be healthy and happy too. So I do believe that a lot of us fall into that category of wanting to help other people.
I think that's usually what it is. When you see one of those blogs, you know, they were diagnosed with cancer, they started eating this way, maybe they started this breathing, changing their breathing, their cancer went away. For them, anecdotally, it looks like this is the answer and they want to share that with the world. There can be financial incentives to getting people to believe the same thing that you do.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced that. Like, you're on the internet or wherever you're at and you're reading something and it's kind of interesting, but you know, underneath it all you sense something, and then at the bottom there's the buy our whatever product, or you know, they want you to either be scared into or convinced into their way is the right way so that you will buy something from them. And that's all fine and good. There are completely, totally legitimate things out there all the time. I mean, absolutely. But it is another reason why.
And then there's just that egoically, I feel better.
Ooh, can you say that word again?
Egoically.
Egoically. I don't think I've ever heard that. It kind of reminds me of stoically, but then something's not quite right. Didn't mean to interrupt, but egoically, okay.
I feel better if you believe the same thing that I do.
Yeah.
It reinforces my belief and makes me feel, you know, if I believe this thing and 10 other people believe it, but if 100 people, 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people believe it, I start to feel more secure.
It must be true.
Yeah.
The more of us that believe it, it must be true. Yeah.
And that's why I think you've got this, you know, so much effort going into convincing people that this is the right way. As you're seeing, this video is not really about the right way to breathe. It's about how we gain knowledge in our world. Although we actually are going to share some breathing techniques and things that have worked for us really well.
I want to say, from a personal perspective, with various different things I've experienced over the past few years of my life, I've done some research online, and it has been very confusing because you see something, you think, ooh, okay, this sounds like me, and if you want to be an informed individual, as most of us do, you go and you don't just read this one, you read that one and one from over here, but then you want to be really informed, so you read the reverse side. And you go, oh, but that kind of sounds like me too. And then, or maybe you've been following something for a while, but all of a sudden you find out, oh my gosh, coconut oil, not as good for you as people say it is. I eat coconut oil every day. I think it's a health food. So the truth, I want other people to believe me, and I want there to just be one source that I can go to, and here's the answer, Rebecca. This is what you do and you'll feel better.
Yeah.
And so I understand why people want other people. It would be so much easier if there was a verifiable truth, and this is the thing that works for everybody all the time.
Yeah, it's overload. I mean, in a way, back before internet, which wasn't for, you know, a lot of you, you remember this time, you'd have to go to the university or the library or something to try to, you know, learn and get an answer to your question. It could take you days, weeks, you know, to find an answer to a simple question that we now can type into Google and get 10 different sources showing us, you know, every
10 million
facet of 10 million different sources. I guess that's more realistic. So what do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do?
What do we do? Breathe.
Breathe. And, you know, that's one of the magic things about breathing. You know, our friend Andrea Gerasimo, who is a yoga instructor, and she's always talking about breath in very inspiring ways, and how that breath can call us into this moment. And just developing mindfulness, for instance, paying attention to our breath, we can start to tune in to our mind state and to our body state. So if then I start trying out some breathing method that somebody's told me, I can start to pay attention. How does this make me feel when I'm doing it? How does it make me feel later on? How does it make me feel tomorrow? I think it would be amazing if in today's world we could all be empowered to know that we have wisdom, we have discernment. We don't have to just look and accept somebody else's answer, but we can figure things out for ourselves. And sometimes the answer is not going to be, this is not for the lazy, it's not going to be as clear cut as some
Here's the one answer
Google would give us, or something would give us. Here it is.
Drat.
It might mean that when I'm trying to figure out, do I breathe more, do I breathe less, that changes throughout the day. It changes according to my mood. It changes according to what I've eaten, how much I've been moving today.
So we are essentially guinea pigs, and we can become our own experiment, if you will, and say, okay, and maybe you do go get some research because it's something you know nothing about. Maybe you don't. You still know nothing about it, but somebody had to figure it out initially too. You can take whatever approach you want to. Say it's with the breathing. Try different things out. Okay, I tried that, but boy, that was not nearly as peaceful as it was this morning. Maybe in the morning you need a certain kind of breathing when you're just laying in bed and you want to connect a little deeper with that kind of precious morning energy. Maybe you want to get energized. You need a different kind of breathing for that. Be an experiment, you know, experiment on yourself and decide, hey, if I do this kind of breathing all throughout the day, how do I feel at the end of the day? And it's so neat because that awareness can work for anything. It can work for what kind of food should I be eating? How do I feel about this meeting coming up? What approach do I want to take to it because I'm feeling stressed out? But that experimental mindset, I think, is very valuable.
This can be life-changing for us and world-changing. Right now you look at our politics in the United States, so divided. So many people just grabbing onto a side and holding on to that so strongly. They won't look outside of it. And this is a call for us to say, you know what? I don't need to be part of a herd of any kind. I don't need to just latch onto someone else's idea. This is sacrilege, but I could feel that I agree with the Republicans in some ways, and with the Libertarians in some ways, and the Democrats in some ways, and the Green Party in some ways.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't have to be a Republican, a Democrat, a Constitutionalist, whatever it's going to be. What happens when we stop defining ourselves in that way? And then you become you. Because actually, probably, if any of us really looks at things, we're going to see that it's our feelings about something, what works for us is more organic and complex.
I am so glad you brought that up, because I had wanted to say something, which is, when we're talking about any of this stuff, it's not just what the truth is, it's what we think the truth is. Our minds are so powerful that I've always wanted to start a new diet fad, which was this is what's good about what you're about to eat, right? Like, here you're going to have, insert food, a red pepper, here's all the good things for you, and all you do is you take in what's good for you about it. How much does what we think about something really affect? And that's another thing you can experiment with. Try looking at what you think is right, and even though maybe mainstream's going this way, if your inner tug is like, man, I feel like that, try it once and see. I know a lot of people, we've heard from many of you, when you choose to go the direction that you're being pulled, you find out, wow, that's actually, yeah, what's tugging you in your heart. Wow, that's actually where I feel fulfilled, where I find my health, where I find the answers to what it is that I need, because they're all right in here.
The food. You talked about food, right? I often think about, sometimes some of the unhealthiest people you know are the health food addicts.
Yeah.
We're so concerned with, that red pepper. There's lots of good things about it, but I've also read, it's a nightshade, it's inflammatory.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And you stress yourself out so much that, as you say, your mind, we know we can stress ourselves out.
Yeah.
Our mind is creating stress hormones, and we're making ourselves sick by trying to be healthy.
And we can do it with anything. Don't research something for a while. Just let it go for a little bit. Try out some experiments yourself. We're talking about politics. Don't listen to the news or read about politics or go anywhere or even talk to anybody for a whole week. Just be like, I am tabling politics, and do something else. And then when you approach it again, approach it with curiosity and say, do I actually really still agree with that? How do I feel? And it might be fun to notice the results.
Well, this is about thinking for ourselves. It's about awareness. It's about mindfulness. It's about, we do not have to be followers, just following this trend, that fad. We should get back to breathing.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so I'm just going to say one thing that's worked for me, you say one thing that's worked for you, and then, if you came here just about breathing, hopefully you'll get something that you can try. And of course, we don't want you to believe that this is the way to breathe. We want you to test it, see what you think of it, and then have your own experience, because our way is not the way. My way is maybe the Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. One thing that's worked for me, I feel in my life personally that I can get worked up about things that maybe I don't need to get worked up about. And so it's probably cliche, but the 3 deep breaths, when you notice yourself revving up, whatever, even if it might be stress, it might just be control, it could be fear, it could just be you're tired, whatever it is, I like to do 3 deep breaths. And you know what, I don't really follow a pattern. I just make sure I get a good big inhale. I kind of take a pause after I've had that inhale to just notice the space without breathing. And I do a big and I make some sound, and I just imagine that my body is melting. And I do that 3 times, and I notice it's kind of a reset for me. It's a message from my muscles to my brain, hey, maybe it's not as bad as you think it is. And if it is as bad as I think it is, at least I've calmed my system down, right? And I just wanted to say one thing, getting back to our beautiful friend Andrea, who's the yoga instructor. One thing she would always say in class, which I love, is slow, deep, and wide about breathing. And it just gives you this sense.
It's those slow breaths, they can calm us. And most of us have a stressed up, a highly revved system. There's so much power just in breathing slow, deep, wide. Is that it?
Yeah. Tell me about you.
We have a little biofeedback thing that we hook students up to sometimes out here. And it doesn't actually monitor breathing, but it shows very, very minute shifts in our heart rate. And through this breathing technique, they find that they can smooth out their rhythm in this way. I'm not going to go into the details or try to explain it all. But basically, they can see on the graph what happens when they use this breathing technique and what happens when they're breathing more shallow and high. And it goes from a smooth kind of resonance feeling to really sharp and choppy.
Yeah.
And for me, I've learned to, from hooking myself up to that machine, I've learned to be able to just access that really, really quickly by the feel of it. But basically, I just do 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slight pause, 1, 2, and down. And breathe through my belly. It's not I'm doing it fast, like 2 seconds in,
right.
2 seconds out here, but it's just barely noticeable. I think that I'm breathing usually, but there's a depth to it because I'm filling my belly. And that just puts me into a calm state. And when I try to do this throughout the day, it tends to keep me, I would say, pretty mellow, pretty aware. My mind feels open and vibrant and alive and checked in. Where if I find myself getting into routine or into autopilot, my breathing's up here, it's high, it's shallow, second or 2 in, second or 2 out, and then I just feel scattered. Yeah.
I like it. Is it something where you would have to have a machine to
No.
know how to do it, or?
I don't think so. I think if you just, I do it in through my mouth, or in through my nose, sometimes out through my mouth, or out through my nose, and just 5 seconds in to, to about 80% capacity, and 5 seconds out. Again, to about 80%. I'm not trying to force everything out. It becomes kind of a natural breathing after a while because it's not very forced, like some breathing methods
Right.
are.
Oh yeah. Do you feel? I'm just gonna ask a few more questions. Do you feel that you're just focusing on your breath, or do you hold something in your mind, or have a certain feeling about you? Will you talk about that a little?
I would say when I started this out, I combined it. This is maybe an important thing. I do this breathing more consciously, almost sitting meditatively. And I combine it with really strong feelings of gratitude, joy, love. And now, because I habitualize that, when I take one of those breaths, those feelings kind of automatically come in. So there's no more mental focus on those because I created that habitual bridge.
Wow.
So it's super helpful, you know, at home or in the woods or something like that where things are getting tense. It's almost an instant relaxation because you form that little mind path.
Wow. Breathing, you can take it with you wherever you go. So that's kind of the neat thing about it being a practice. I would love to hear from you if you experiment, what you discover, both with the breathing and just with your own truth seeking. And if you have any breath meditations or styles that you really enjoy.
You've probably heard us talk about Wim Hof and all kinds of things, so, you know, there's a lot more things that we experiment with breathing-wise, but what have you done? And also about the larger context of this video. How do you not get sucked into becoming very polarized, very one-sided? How do you keep your mind open? How do you judge or juggle looking at research or at sources in a world where basically everything is so over-researched that it's
where everything is right and everything is wrong.
All right, my friends.
Thank
we'll talk
you.
with you soon. Yeah, thanks for watching.